Hello, and welcome to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. Thank you for tuning in, for listening, and welcome to another episode. I talk a lot about biohacking, of course, wellness, nutrition, holistic health, and honestly, a variety of things. And so it's been fun this past year to kind of explore different topics. And it's crazy. It's crazy that it's mid-December. I don't know what it is, but I get into this weird mode where I can't accept the date that we're on or like the time that it is. I feel like every month I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it's December. I can't believe it's March, like every single time. But maybe it's because life is just passing by so much faster now. So it's interesting. And I am definitely winding down for the year. Oh my gosh. Like I can just feel it. I can just feel the lack of not ambition, but kind of like just the lack of drive and really just like wrapping things up and tying loose ends and kind of just like finishing things out nicely. I'm not really pushing much right now. Obviously not starting anything new or doing like a new part in my business or anything like that, but rather just like closing things off, which is really nice. And it feels good to wind down. I think so much, especially when you're an entrepreneur, you're just like taught that you need to be pushing all the time and kind of growing your business and going to the next level and just doing all of these extra things all the time. So it's nice to kind of be in this zone where maybe I'm not working 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day. Maybe it's less and maybe it's just starting to look different and it's really nice. And I can feel my body's responding really well. And I'm sure a lot of you listening can relate that you're kind of not in flight or fight mode and you're just more in like a beautiful rest mode already. And I think that's awesome. And that's definitely where I'm at right now. And it's much needed. And it's got me thinking a lot about next year and what I need to be doing in order to feel like this more often. I work a lot. I work on weekends all the time. And I think COVID has made that a thing for me. So kind of like the backstory, if you don't know, if you haven't heard me talk about this before, but prior, I kind of like officially launched, I guess, like my business as a nutritionist, like a month before COVID hit, basically. And so that was good and bad because I kind of got used to working all of the time because with COVID, like everything was shut down and there was way less like traveling and social functions and things to do on weekends and nighttime. So I had all of this extra time to work and I still have that same mentality now. Obviously it's a year and a half, 2 years later almost. And it's interesting because I just like, how do you let that mentality go when you were in that like rut of staying home for so long? So you might as well work because there's nothing else to do. And it's going to like push your business forward and you're an entrepreneur and everything that you do helps push your business forward and no one else is doing it and the whole thing. So it's interesting. And I'm thinking a lot about next year and taking time off more frequently and going away for weekends, even locally, like in BC here in Canada. There's a bunch of places I'd love to go and doing more trips like that and working from places and then taking the weekend off, right? And just kind of getting out of the house and doing more. So I think that's like might be my biggest goal so far for next year. Like I haven't really sat down and done any goals yet, but it's definitely something I'm thinking about because I respond really, really well to taking time off, as do most people. I find when I actually take time off, like multiple days in a row, I get this like surge of creativity that comes back. I'm able to think clear on business decisions I need to make. I'm able to see the path forward and what I want to do. And it's like a slingshot, honestly. Like I pull back and then I'm just like thrust forward and I just perform way better and just have way more energy and my health is better. So knowing that now, because I've done it so much in the last, not so much, but I've done it quite a few times. I want to bring that more because I just need that time off and I need the time for creativity. I was actually talking to my friend today who is a YouTuber, Katie Moore. I mean, if you're listening, hello. And she was saying kind of the same thing of how do you make time for the actual creative part when you're running a business? And then how do you make time for the business part in terms of thinking of ideas for YouTube and then creating them and editing the videos and then all of the admin part of that, all of the marketing, all of the emails and the tiny little things that you have to do to keep all of that running. How do you kind of balance both, right? So it was interesting and I totally relate. Especially with Instagram, I go through phases of feeling very creative and this is what I want to say and this is what I want to talk about. And then I go through phases of I don't want to post. I don't want to be on social media. Get this away from me, please. I don't want to talk to anybody. I have no creativity right now. And so, it's such a challenge. And so I'm thinking about that a lot right now when I think about next year. And I'm sure if you can relate, you can definitely message me and let me know if you have any tips that can help with that, because I would love that. This week on the podcast, we have Trina Felber, who is the CEO of Primal Life Organics. So I have been trying to get her on the podcast since the summer, I think, forever ago. And we finally recorded and we're actually focusing on oral health and dentistry, which is really cool because I haven't talked about this on my podcast yet. And I just had someone DM me last week saying, what do I look for in toothpaste? What are your recommendations type of thing? So that's what this episode is all about. We are talking about how the Weston A. Price diet impacts your teeth. We're talking about toothpaste, like I said. We're also talking about tooth meridians, which is so, so cool. And I'm very fascinated in that type of holistic thinking. We talk about red light therapy for whitening your teeth, which is really interesting. And I actually have the device from Primal Life Organics that I use for my teeth. And it whitens them, which is really cool. And we talk about a bunch of other things, but it's really interesting. And oral health is one of those places that you really need to clean up and make green or natural or organic, whatever word you want to use. It's so, so important. Just as our skincare is, oral health is probably next, just because we have a microbiome right in our mouths. And it impacts so much of our health. It's so interconnected that we really need to be careful of using things like traditional mouthwash that are just awful for you, or even types of gum, right? As well, that have certain things in them that can affect the health of your teeth. And so we get into all the specifics of that, tons of details. So definitely take notes if you need to. And a quick shout out to our sponsors. As always, Inside Tracker is my favorite sponsor of this show. One of my favorites, I should say. It's interesting because I was actually just looking at my results this week and I lowered my biological age between both times that I got tested. So I lowered it, I think it was a year and 8 months, 1.8. And it was in the difference of 5 months, 4 or 5 months. And what's really interesting is during those 4 to 5 months was when I actually did 75 hard this year. So if you don't know what 75 hard is, basically this is a health challenge. I think there's 5 things you have to do every single day for 75 days. And if you don't do it, you have to start again. And so I did that. And as a result, my biological age dropped. So I'm actually going to post a reel about that this week because looking back, I think that's really, really interesting and something that thinking about doing again next year. So stay tuned for that. And if you haven't tried Inside Tracker yet, absolutely do it. Learn your biological age. Their test is called Inner Age. They also test for your minerals, vitamins, and hormones. So it's very comprehensive. And you can use my discount code biohackingbrittany to save you some money, which is always really nice when you're buying these tests because they're not cheap. And yeah, definitely worth it. And then shout out to my other sponsor, Hana, which is spelled Hanah. They create like the most beautiful, like lovely smelling coffee powders, or you can mix it with anything, but I mix it with coffee. And they have one that is for your immune system, which I'm currently doing. So I add it into my keto coffee every morning and it tastes so good. It's got a bunch of different herbs in there and adaptogens. So it's a very like holistic round out, what am I trying to say? Like, yeah, I guess holistic supplement, and I just love using it every morning. So definitely check them out. The links to all of my show notes are all of my sponsors are in my show notes. And I actually have a new website out. It got released last week, but there were a lot of glitches, let's say. So the new website is out right now. It's beautiful. It was designed by a friend of a friend, and my partner, Ryan, he part of what he's trained in, I guess, is coding. So he was helping with it, and it's really, really great. And I'm so proud of it. We literally started this project of a new website on Shopify a year ago. Like the photos that are on that website were taken in December of last year. That's how long it takes. When people rebrand, no one understands how long it takes to do a rebrand package and photos and website and code it all. Oh my gosh, it took forever. So I'm super proud of it. It's really, really beautiful. Go check it out. If you haven't already, go right now. Biohackingbrittany.com, obviously really easy. Right now, it's just my about page, podcast page, and my services, like how I work with clients one-on-one. But we do have more pages coming. So as I've previously mentioned before, there will be a shop page, which is going to have all of my affiliate products that I do and all my sponsors, just so I can send everybody to the one page and it's super easy for all of you. And then my blog as well will be uploaded and a couple other things too. So go check it out. It's beautiful. It's really nice. And sign up for my email list if you haven't already. I send out newsletters every week, every other week, something like that. And it's mostly about things that I'm up to. It's about biohacking, wellness. Sometimes there's promotions in them. Sometimes it's about the podcast. Sometimes it's about fees and I don't know where we are with that. And yeah, just different things. So you can do that right on the website as well. I also have a free biohack your cycle chart on there. And this is something that's so interesting because I'm thinking a lot about this for the new year. I created this like one pager chart in like, oh my gosh, must have been 2019, maybe even 2018. Like it was like a while ago. And I kind of revamped it. So it's got like new branding, but I really want to flush this out into a full guide with a meal plan because I think like biohacking your menstrual cycle is such an interesting topic. And I think so many people could benefit from it. So you can download the free chart for now and right on my website. It's very easy. And other than that, enjoy this episode. And I hope you learn a lot because I learned so much from Trina and really appreciated her coming on. And yeah, stay tuned for another episode next week. Okay, welcome to another episode with Biohacking with Brittany. Today, we are exploring oral health and dental health and kind of some topics that I haven't really touched upon too much before, but have definitely been on my radar for the last few years. And I think anybody who's kind of in the natural health space is kind of aware of the products that we put in our mouth, the toothpaste that we use, and all of that, as well as like our mouth microbiome and kind of how to optimize that. And I definitely don't think there are a lot of products on the market right now that support that. And I don't think a lot of people are talking about it either. So today we have Trina Felber on with me to talk about this. And she is the CEO of Primal Life Organics. And I have a bunch of her products and absolutely love them and use them daily. So Trina, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here mouthing off with you, Brittany.
Me too. So why don't you just take us back and kind of tell us how you really got started in this journey of yours to begin with.
Well, there's a lot of stories. The journey for my company really started back in 2007 when I graduated from anesthesia school. I'm a nurse anesthetist, and I graduated 2007. My fiance, husband, going to be husband at the time, we went to Fiji to get married because we knew we were going to start a family right away. I was turning 40 years old, and we knew we were going to start a family right away. Probably wouldn't get back there, quickly. So we thought we'll just go there, get married. And luckily, we were so excited. I got pregnant on our honeymoon. And then at week 7, I miscarried. And it was that miscarriage that really sparked me to look at what's going on in my environment, the things that I had control over, because there's a lot of things we feel like we don't have control over that we ultimately have a lot of control over. And being a nurse, I know that, miscarriages happen for a lot of reasons, but I also knew that there were external reasons that could play a factor or play a role in the health of the baby. So I started looking at our environment. We changed our cleaning supplies, our laundry detergent. We, got air purifiers, things like that. And it never dawned on me to look at my skincare. And I was about 7 weeks pregnant again. I got pregnant very quickly, luckily, with my daughter. And I was at 7 weeks, which was the point that I had miscarried. And, at that point, I'm very emotional. Is it going to make it past those 7 weeks? If there's a lot of women that have suffered miscarriages. I know there's a lot of heads nodding of the feelings of, is it going to make it past this point? Women don't talk about this topic very much. And it's really heartbreaking because it's a big impact in your life. And you don't even realize it. But I was looking, at everything. And at that point, when I had miscarried, I looked down at my moisturizer. I was getting ready for work one morning, and I read the ingredients probably for the first time. And it was from a company that I trusted. They said that they were natural and organic. And this was way back in 2007. So, those buzzwords weren't really as big as they are right now. And I read the ingredients and realized that there were toxins in there. And there were things that could really not just harm me, but harm my baby. So I ditched almost everything, because then I started reading all my ingredient labels for my products, and I ditched everything. And that morning, I'll never forget, I thought, what can I put on my face? So I went to the kitchen and I got olive oil, because I thought those women in Europe are just beautiful. And I'm just going to put some olive oil on my skin. And my skin at that point was extremely oily and very broken out. I used to call it my forest of acne on my forehead. And I was terrified to put oil on my skin, but at this point it didn't matter because this was my baby that I'm talking about. So I did it anyway. And lo and behold, I noticed a difference. And I started formulating my own products because I knew that there was nothing out there that I could buy that would make me feel comfortable, basically putting them on me so that my baby could be healthy. And within a matter of just a couple weeks to months, as I was playing around with different oils and essential oils, my skin cleared up for the first time ever. And at the age of 40, I had been through everything for acne. I had been through Accutane twice. I had been through a lot of topicals, prescription, and over the counter, all sorts of things, and nothing had made the difference and changed my skin. And ultimately, when I got rid of the toxins and the chemicals and all the things that are disruptors in the skincare and what they're putting in, my skin finally changed. And that's how Primal Life Organics was actually born. It was born from a skincare line that actually developed into what we're going to talk about today. And we can talk about skin at another time because there's a lot of great information that I can share with everyone. But the dental line developed about 2 years later.
I'd love to quickly interrupt this podcast to ask you, do you know your biological age? Do you know your current hormone, vitamin, and mineral levels? Honestly, it's hard to know what's going on internally without getting tested. And traditionally, you'd have to go through your doctor or your healthcare provider to order these tests, go into a lab, and it would be a whole ordeal. And it would take a while as well. For me personally, this has always been a hurdle for understanding what is actually going on and how to optimize my biomarkers and even know my biological age in the first place. Thankfully, though, we can order a at-home test from Inside Tracker that lets us do this. It tests for your biological age, your hormone, mineral, and vitamin levels. This is a very, very comprehensive test that lets you get a ton of data from a single kit without having to go to a doctor or go to a lab or really leave your house. If you're looking for the ultimate blood test, try Inside Tracker, which includes testing 43 different biomarkers and the option to test your inner age and your DNA. You can use my discount code BiohackingBrittany for 25% off all of their products, and you can go through there through the link in my show notes or my website and get tested today. So I want to ask about that. So of course, you develop these very successful products and skincare line. So what did it look like transitioning to dental health, and kind of why did you make that decision?
It was a simple situation. My daughter, when she was born 2 years later, a molar erupts. And she has what looks like a cavity in this molar. My husband was brushing her teeth, and he looked at it as he's brushing. He goes, "Come look at this." And so I take a peek, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what is that?" So we took her to the dentist, and he took one look, and he said, "That's a natural cavity. It happens in utero as the tooth is being developed. Mom," I didn't even know this could happen, but mom has something happens at the exact moment that tooth is being developed. So it could be like a bacterial wash, a viral flood, you get the cold, you have a high fever. It can be stress related. There's a lot of different factors, but it was just, to me, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe. So anyway, he took a look at the tooth. He said, it's a good size defect. The tooth will most likely have to be pulled within a year. But what we can do in the meantime is we'll put a temporary filling in it since she's 2. And the temporary filling will probably last 2 to 3 months. And every time the filling falls out, we'll just decide, is now the time to pull the tooth, or should we just try another filling for a little while and give it a couple more, months? And as I was leaving, so we put the temporary filling in, and as I was leaving, I'll never forget, he just looked at me. You could tell I was a little upset and just kind of frazzled. And he just said, "Mom, it's okay. Don't worry. We put a temporary filling in it now. We just hope for the best." And I thought, oh my gosh, did you just tell me to hope for the best? There's no way this mama is hoping for any best. I'm going to do my research. So I left there with a mission to just do some research into dental health and figure out what is the possibility of keeping that tooth healthy enough that it survives. Because I know that every tooth is linked to an organ. It's called the tooth meridians. If anyone's not familiar with it, it's the meridian system, very similar to like acupuncture, but during fetal development, when an organ is being developed, a tooth is also being developed at the same time. So there's this connection between a tooth and an organ. And you can look tooth meridians up online. There's a lot out there. You can see the charts, what organs connect to teeth. What happens with this is sometimes when there's a problem with an organ, you can get a toothache and you think it's the toothache, but there's nothing wrong with the tooth. And what's really going on is the body's trying to signal that there's something wrong with that organ. And the vice versa can happen. You can have a stomach ache, or you can have problems with your gallbladder for no apparent reason. And it might be signifying that there's an abscess or something going on with that tooth that's connected to that organ. So I knew that. So I really wanted to make sure that she could keep that tooth for as long as possible. So I did my research and I found Dr. Weston A. Price, and he is a dentist that was around in the early 1900s. He actually discovered way back in the early 1900s that the root cause of cavities is sugar. And if we eliminate sugar in our diet, we will eliminate gum disease most likely, and we will eliminate cavities. And unfortunately, the ADA did not want that to go down that route. So they pretty much silenced him and went with the dentist that believed that sugar was the way to go, so that we could have patients in our offices, more than once a year, and we'd have to treat them for cavities and gum disease and things like that. So when I discovered this, I was really shocked and really floored. So I just dove into his research, and he really researched third world countries and why the people living, eating healthy diets and eating more of a natural diet, Why was their teeth so healthy, their mouth so healthy? You look at National Geographic and they've got these big teeth with a huge mouth, nice big jaws. And he discovered that it was all related to the diet and the soil that their food was being grown in. And the problem with our diet today is that even if you're eating organic here in the United States, our soil is so mineral depleted that you're not getting the mineral replacement that your teeth really need, because every day when you eat food, and because of the environment inside your mouth, minerals will leave your teeth and they're supposed to re-enter because of the foods that you're eating and because of the environment that your mouth is supposed to be. But because of the processed foods and the high sugar content and the products that we're brushing our teeth with, we have an acid environment inside of our mouth, more acidic than ever, which is the root cause of our dental health decline. No matter what they try and do and what they try and put in products, if there's not three things that the product does, and I'll get into that in a bit, then you are not going to be having you're not going to have a healthy mouth at all. So by discovering what Dr. Weston found, I formulated my entire dental line based on his research to keep your mouth healthy, keep your gums healthy, keep your teeth white and strong. And that is the basis for overall health. If your gums aren't healthy, that's the gateway for bacteria and viruses and inflammatory markers to be released inside your body. And all inflammatory diseases or inflammation leads to diseases, including heart disease. Alzheimer's has been linked to dental health, infertility for both men and women, hyper and hypothyroid, diabetes. Every inflammatory disease has been linked to dental health. Preterm labor is also directly related to mom's health, and baby's health is directly related to mom's oral health. So it's extremely, extremely important. To make a long story short, that tooth that was supposed to fall out or be pulled within 1 year fell out naturally at the age of 11 for my daughter. And that original filling that was only supposed to last 2 or 3 months was still intact. And the tooth had actually remineralized over the filling to protect it and prevent any kind of bacteria from invading the inside of the tooth. So we ended up saving the tooth and it fell out naturally.
I love that story. That's so inspiring. It must have been so interesting for you to actually see that tooth fall out like so many years later, especially because it just sparked such a big part of your journey and of your business. So if somebody's listening to this and, this is kind of the first time that they're hearing, maybe the toothpaste that they're using is actually not very healthy, even if it's, fluoride-free toothpaste, like where can they start and like what should they look for? And like how do they start without being overwhelmed with like redoing their entire dental care product line?
Well, here's the key. It's not hard to keep your mouth healthy, and it's actually not hard to get the right products if you know what you're looking for. And to be honest with you, with all the products that I make, and I make a bunch, I make, body care, skin care, dental care. When people ask me where do they start, I always tell them to start with your dental care, because for the most part, your dental products are inexpensive. Nobody really will care about throwing away a $7 toothpaste to replace it with something better. But if you have $100 moisturizer, you're going to kind of hold on to that. You're not going to really want to throw that away. So I always tell people, start with your dental health, because that impacts every aspect of your health. Everything, including nitric oxide production. Nobody realizes this, but nitric oxide is what really keeps you healthy. It's the vasodilating effect. It's anti-inflammatory. It helps you sleep. And if your mouth isn't healthy, you're not producing nitric oxide, which is a huge decline in health overall. So it impacts your health in so many different ways. So that's why it's so important. But there's three things. I say there's three reasons to brush your teeth. Now, the ADA tells us we brush our teeth to clean them, and I disagree 100%, because honestly, if you do these other three things, you will be cleaning your teeth. And ultimately, if you brush your teeth with just water, you will be cleaning your teeth as well and actually doing less harm than brushing them with something that's not good for you. So before I get into what to look for, let me talk a little bit about what not to use or what to avoid, what is really going to cause more damage than good. Because like you said, Brittany, if someone's out there saying, you know what, I should be okay, I'm using a natural product, while it may not be causing harm to your microbiome or to your overall health, as far as like toxic chemicals, it might not be doing good either. I usually say good health starts inside the mouth. I grew up hearing that. I had no idea what it meant. And most people have no idea what that means. What it really means is good health really does. It starts inside your mouth. If the bacteria inside your mouth is not healthy, that's exactly where good health stops. You don't have a chance to fight just about anything else inside your body if your mouth is not healthy. So let's start with, if it's okay with you, I want to start with what to avoid.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay, so some of the ingredients to avoid, and if you're using mainstream, or I call it big dental products, which would be the brands that start with a C for the most part, those are probably all on, they are all on the no-no list. So I don't even have to take a look at their ingredients to wonder. I know that they aren't doing what dental health really should be doing to keep you healthy on the inside. But some of the ingredients to really watch out for, because sometimes they sneak into natural ingredients as well. Triclosan is a big one. Triclosan can be found in both mouthwashes and in natural products, as well as big dental products. Triclosan is antimicrobial, is antibacterial, but it doesn't just kill the bad stuff. It kills everything. Triclosan is like an antibiotic. And most people that would be listening to your podcast have probably at least taken an antibiotic once in their life. And if you've ever experienced any side effects in your gut from taking an antibiotic after 7 days, most of the time you end up with an upset stomach. You can have diarrhea, constipation, and just all sorts of different kinds of weird things can happen inside your gut, and that's related to the bacteria. Antibiotics wipe out good and bad. Most of the time you end up having to take a probiotic to reseed your gut. So triclosan in your mouth does the exact same thing, but it's like taking an antibiotic twice a day for life and expecting your mouth to be healthy, expecting the bacteria to be good. It wipes everything out. In fact, they've even done studies that triclosan in mouthwashes and in toothpaste destroys your gut bacteria as well, because you do swallow a little bit and it destroys everything. So getting rid of triclosan is very important. There's other ingredients, including, I'm not going to get into the reasons why fluoride's not good, because I think a lot of people kind of understand that it's not really a good fit for the mouth or the body in general. But avoiding fluoride, avoiding artificial sweeteners, artificial colors, those are always not good. And then there's like DEA, and I can't remember what the actual name for it is. SLS is sodium lauryl sulfate. Those are ingredients that aren't active. They don't really do anything for your health. They don't do anything for your mouth. They'll destroy your gum tissue. They destroy your microbiome inside your mouth. They can cause gum recession, gum inflammation. They're acidic by nature, so they're going to cause wearing down of your enamel or mineral loss from your enamel. So avoiding those. As far as ingredients that are found in natural toothpaste to watch out for, glycerin is probably the one that surprises most people. Glycerin sneaks into almost every natural toothpaste because it makes it slippery. Glycerin isn't going to hurt you as far as ingesting it or using it, but it puts a coating on your enamel, and that coating prevents minerals from getting back into your enamel. So even if you eat carrots or broccoli or something that does have some minerals in it, or your saliva, because your saliva does have minerals in it, and that's how your body remineralizes your teeth, is with your saliva. But if you're brushing with something that has glycerin in it, it puts like a saran wrap coating and minerals can't get into your teeth. So it's really doing more harm than good. Alcohol in mouthwash, I always say just avoid mouthwash. You don't need it. I have a better solution. Mouthwashes destroy good and bad bacteria. There are very few mouthwashes made to actually make your mouth healthier. So by avoiding alcohol-based mouthwashes, you're doing more good than harm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my partner bought like traditional mouthwash a couple months ago, and every time I see it, I just want to pour it down the sink because I'm like, dude, like this is so bad. Exactly what you said, like wiping out the good bacteria that you've got going on in your mouth. But I will give him credit because a few years ago, we started tongue scraping and we do that every morning now. So I'm just curious, like, do you do that? And like, what is your take on that as like a or Ayurvedic practice that can
tongue
clean your
scraping.
tongue?
Yeah, tongue scraping is awesome. I sell a copper tongue scraper. It's part of my dental detox kit, which I'll talk about later. You know, when people are looking at where to start or what to start, I put together a kit that's really easy to use, and it contains all the tools that you need. So it does contain my copper tongue scraper. What's great about copper, as opposed to plastic, is that plastic's eventually going to break and end up in a landfill. Whereas if you take care of copper, my copper tongue scraper, you'll buy it once and it will last you a lifetime, even if you're 20 years old. I mean, as long as you just wipe it off after you use it and you're not leaving it in a puddle of water, it will last you a lifetime. And scraping your tongue is really important because it's the white coating on your tongue is bacteria. It's basically a biofilm, just like plaque. Plaque is a biofilm. We hear about biofilms in the gut. But inside the mouth, the biofilm is plaque and the stuff on the tongue, that white coating. And a tongue scraper is going to help remove that. And then it's going to allow your taste buds to actually taste the food. So your food is going to taste better and your mouth is going to taste fresher because you're getting rid of that bad bacteria. So tongue scraping is totally, and it takes 10 seconds in the morning. You know, you don't have to do it twice a day if you don't want to. I usually tell people, you know, just do it once a day. I'm good with that. But if you want to up level, do it twice a day. It takes 10 seconds. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like, so I have a copper one as well, and I've had it for a few years. And once you start doing it every single morning, it's like addictive because you just have this fresh mouth without having to wash your teeth. You have no morning breath. It doesn't smell bad, like nothing. And it takes, like you said, like 10 seconds, clean it off, and then you're done for the day.
Totally.
Yeah. And in terms of like floss and that whole, you know, industry, and there's so many different ones now too. Like I'm sure you've seen like the water pick, which is like this little jet that like squirts water in between your teeth, which can kind of be a little aggressive. Like, so what's your take on like those types of products?
Floss is a must. Like you can't avoid flossing. If you floss just once a day, just like tongue scraping, I'm good with that. Just at least do it once a day. Twice a day is better, of course. Flossing is going to get where the bacteria actually starts. It sort of hibernates or gets down into between your teeth. And then it's going to build from there. It's going to hibernate and build its little plaque. And the plaque is really the house. So the bacteria, it's kind of like cancer. Cancer creates its own environment so it can thrive. It's an acidic environment. Same thing with the bad bacteria inside the mouth. Bad bacteria thrives in an acidic environment. Good bacteria lives in an alkaline environment. If your mouth tastes foul, if you have bad breath, that is not normal. Let me repeat that, because we are in a society where the TV tells us that bad breath is normal and all you need to do is swish this blue stuff in your mouth and the bad breath will go away, which basically is only creating more bad breath because it creates an acidic environment and it's destroying your good bacteria. They want you in that cycle so you continue to have cavities and you continue to have bad breath and you continue to need all that stuff. When in reality, if you wake up with bad breath or you end up with bad breath in the middle of the day, it's your body's signal to you that there's an imbalance in the good and bad bacteria inside your mouth. And if you don't fix that imbalance, you are going to end up with cavities, sensitive teeth, and some sort of gum disease. It'll start slowly and mildly and progress and could get as deep as your bone tissue, your jaw. So bad breath is something you should not have. I do not have bad breath. I never have bad breath. The only time I get a foul mouth is when I'm talking a lot and I get dehydrated. But really that's it. It's you're not supposed to have bad breath. If you have bad breath, you need to fix it. Using the wrong products is definitely going to lead you to give you bad breath. Eating a lot of refined sugar and processed foods is going to lead to bad breath. But as far as flossing goes, It's a must because that bacteria it's kind of, it's not going to stick around where it's going to get washed away. It's going to go hide. It's going to go look for a hiding place. And the hiding place is between your gum and your teeth. So it's going to build those pockets and it's going to go into the between your teeth area, especially if you're ignoring that area. And then once it gets in there, if you're not cleaning it out on a regular basis, it only takes a couple hours for plaque or bacteria to start building plaque. Plaque is actually white and it's soft and like gooey and sticky, becomes hard over time. So when you end up with that hard stuff that they have to scrape, that's because that's been there for a long time. Technically, if you're brushing and you notice white stuff, or if you're flossing at the end of the day and you're getting that white gunk out, that is what plaque would ultimately be. You're just getting rid of it before it hardens. That is plaque. It's just getting rid. And that's normal to have that, even if you're eating healthy, because you're always going to have good and bad bacteria. But if you're getting rid of the plaque, you're pretty much getting rid of the house, which means you can now get rid of the bacteria. If the bacteria is living under plaque, you can't get to the bacteria itself. It just continues to grow under there and burrow deeper and deeper and then build its way into your gum tissue and through your gums. And then that's how it also ultimately gets inside your body. So, using dental floss is a must. And then I made a biodegradable. I'm very eco-friendly. So my floss is biodegradable and it has a charcoal bamboo string. And the benefit of charcoal being on the string is that it's going to detox the tissue between your teeth a little bit better as it's cleansing. It's more alkaline as well. So it's going to bust through that plaque just a little bit easier than a regular type of floss would. A water pick is great. And I don't have anything against a water pick, but it does not replace flossing. It doesn't replace it. It can be used with flossing, but it doesn't replace it. And I like to add a little bit. I have a gum serum that I make that my gum serum replaces mouthwash. And I do have a water pick because I like to use it on occasion. It kind of massages the gums, but you don't want it very fast or very hard. You don't want it to be like a jet stream coming out. You want it to be soothing and massaging. And I add a little bit of just a couple drops of my gum serum. And then that way, as it's cleansing the tissue of the teeth, it's actually going to be putting some nutrients and helping with the bacteria load and things like that. It's not just water. It's got some other things in it.
Right. So aside from like bad breath, whether it's like in the morning or throughout the day or really any time, like are there typical symptoms that people can experience that showcase that their oral health might be much worse than they actually thought it is?
Bad breath is the number one thing, and especially as people are wearing face masks more and more and for longer periods of time. Face masks are really, really bad for your dental health, which then means it's really, really bad long-term for your internal health. When I was a nurse anesthetist and I was practicing full-time, we wore masks, as anyone in the OR, you wear a mask anytime you're inside the OR room. And I remember getting sick all the time. I always had bad breath. I was always using breath mints and gum, which is a big no-no. Like you really shouldn't be chewing gum, especially the bad gum or breath mints, because it's really just creating more of that environment where the bacteria is going to grow. Wearing masks, when I wore my mask, I was sick all the time. I had frequent colds. I had the flu. I would get sick really easy. As soon as I stopped wearing my face mask 8 hours a day, I stopped getting sick. My bad breath went away and that's when I changed my products as well. Because when I started my dental care products is when I stopped working full time as a nurse. But wearing a mask is really detrimental to your overall health and your mouth, just because you're rebreathing what you breathed out, which means there's less oxygen in the air you're breathing in. I'm not going to get into what that does inside your body, but inside your mouth, the bacteria that thrives and is good for you needs oxygen to live. The bacteria that causes plaque, gingivitis, heart disease, Alzheimer's, all the bad things doesn't. So if you're breathing through a mask 8 hours a day and you're rebreathing carbon monoxide mixed with a little bit of oxygen, that's the main reason why dentists are seeing people that never had gum disease and never had cavities before in their life show up in their office with gum disease and cavities. So it's really important. If you do have to wear a mask, you have no choice, then I always tell people to make sure that every once in a while you're pulling it away from your face as much as you can, and go outside if you have to breathe fresh air at least once an hour if you can't do it more frequently.
I'd love to quickly pause this episode to talk to you about your immune health. How are you supporting it? I'm currently doing a bunch of holistic self-care practices and biohacks, but I've also been looking at supplements lately. Especially in the last 1.5 to 2 years, immunity is such a hot topic and something I think we've all been focusing on. I'm taking more of a holistic approach to my supplements rather than just having a singular supplement like a specific vitamin or mineral. I want something effective, natural, and easy to use as well. I recently started using Coffee Boost Immunity by Hana, which is a blend of herbs that support and nourish the immune system. It's a powder that tastes amazing because it's actually blended with coconut milk powder. So I add this right to my bulletproof coffee every morning, so it's super easy to use and tastes really good. It has herbs in it like ashwagandha, holy basil, amla, and guduchi, which strongly support our immune system through their adaptogenic, antioxidant, and anti-inflammatory effects. If you're looking for something more holistic like this, something easy to use by just adding to your coffee every day or tea, but you do want something that strongly supports the immune system and is research-backed, this is what I suggest. Hana's Coffee Boost Immunity is so good and so honestly tastes amazing. What I also love about their brand is that they focus on sourcing and purity. So they have herb collectors in places like India and Kingdom of Bhutan. And they also don't add any preservatives or fillers, which is really important because I want a product that's research backed, but I also want something that's natural and clean as well. So if you're interested in trying this, I highly recommend it. You can use my discount code, which is biohackingbrittany in all capitals, for 15% off your order, excluding a couple of products. And you can get that through the link in my show notes or on my website. You can also message me as well if you need this link on Instagram or through email. So that is biohackingbrittany in all capitals for 15% off. Yeah, it's pretty scary. I'm in Canada and masks are basically mandatory everywhere. And even for kids. And I was in our community rec center yesterday and I saw this after school children's program. And these kids were probably between 5 and 10 years old. And they're playing badminton and they're all wearing masks. And there's just these little kids sweating. And I'm like, how are you playing sports wearing a mask right now? Let alone what that is doing to, like you said, the bacteria in your mouth, not getting fresh oxygen. And unfortunately, I don't know if it's a reality for a lot of people to be able to go outside once an hour and get fresh air right now in the current situation that we're in. Is it similar to where you are? And if it is, how do you deal with that with your kids and other young folk?
Well, I homeschool my kids. So
okay.
Mainly for the reason we've homeschooled for the past 5 years. So we didn't do it just because of all this, but I'm very grateful that we do because that's one thing it's so hard as a parent to watch your kids go through that. And where I live, I'm in Ohio. We don't really have the mask mandates here. Just certain types of businesses are still requiring that you wear a mask when you're inside. So it's not as it's not like it is where you are. So I can't comment on, you just really have to do the best you can and think of your health. So even if it means taking your break outside, when it's cold out, that's probably going to do you more good than staying inside, in the stale air. Your health is so fragile and it's so precious, and we don't realize how precious it is until we lose our health a little bit. So keeping your mouth healthy is so important in this day and age. And one of the things you can do, especially when you're wearing a mask, you get more dehydrated when you're wearing a mask because you're rebreathing oxygen and your mouth gets more dehydrated. So make sure you're staying hydrated. Drink more water when you're wearing your mask. And that will definitely help. Cut back on gum and breath mints as much as you can. That's only going to make it worse. Even though your breath might not taste good, you're better off drinking some water and letting your mouth and using a gum serum. Like my gum serum, a lot of my clients or customers that have to wear a mask all day, they just take their gum serum with them. And when they want to freshen their breath, they'll put their gum serum right on their teeth and their gums, and it freshens your breath without destroying your bacteria. And it moistens your entire gum tissue, mouth tissue.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a great tip. I know you also have a whitening kit, and I actually have this, and it's really cool. I posted about it a while ago on Instagram, but it uses different types of light to help whiten your teeth. And this is like one of the first times that I've ever seen this. So I would love for you to kind of describe how this works and why you developed this product.
Yeah, the teeth whitening device that I developed, it's different than anything that's out there. It's a mouthpiece for listeners. It's sort of like a mouthpiece that you would wear at night, or even the dentist. Sometimes they have these it looks like a bite guard, but it's really just a mouthpiece. And it has 16 red and 16 blue LED lights in it. So the LED lights are there primarily they do different things. So red light is very similar to the red light that you would use on your skin. If anyone uses red light therapy for their face or their body, healing scars, wounds, surgical wounds, things like that. It increases collagen production, which is extremely important in your gum tissue, because below your gum tissue is your bone. And collagen plays a major role in the health of your tissues. So it stimulates collagen, it stimulates blood flow, which is extremely important in healing. And it also removes toxins. It decreases inflammation. So the same thing that it does for your skin, it does for your gum tissue. So if you're someone that has receding gums or has bleeding gums or inflamed gums, one of the best things you can do is use red light therapy inside your mouth. So that's why I developed a mouthpiece. You do 15-minute treatment. The red light therapy is going to help soothe your gums. It's going to reduce the inflammation, increase the blood flow, and it's going to help with collagen. The blue light is really interesting. They found that the bad bacteria have this quality about them that blue light basically destroys. And so good bacteria doesn't. So the blue light's not going to kill your good bacteria. So it's like a heme. It's like a red quality, and blue light kills the bacteria with this quality. And the nice thing about light inside your mouth is that light therapy penetrates. LED light penetrates a little bit into your tissues. It doesn't go super deep, but it does go deep enough that it can kill the bacteria. And sometimes it can kill the bacteria between the gum tissue and between the teeth, like we were talking about for flossing. So light therapy is really beneficial inside the mouth. So I really wanted to be able to create something that you could do as an at-home treatment for yourself and improve the overall health of your mouth, but also whiten your teeth. So the blue light will also help whiten teeth because it does get rid of the bacteria that is dark in color. So it's going to help get rid of the bad bacteria. And then the gel that I created is peroxide free. Peroxide's really damaging to your teeth. It dehydrates the layer beneath the enamel. It's your dentin. Your dentin is like a shock absorber. It's filled with fluid. It's also it has antimicrobial proteins and things in it that help prevent infection and bacteria and viruses from crossing through into your pulp, which has your nerves and your blood vessels. But peroxide pulls the moisture. I say it dehydrates your dentin. It pulls out the moisture. Your dentin layer, very off color. It's usually like grayish, bluish, or yellowish in color. So if your enamel's thin, your teeth are going to look dingy because you're seeing the dentin. And the fix for white teeth shouldn't be dehydrating your dentin, because if you're taking the fluid out, you're actually weakening the structure of your tooth. You're making it whiter because if they pull the fluid out, peroxide pulls the fluid out, it's going to be more opaque. It's not going to have as much color to it. That's why peroxide will very quickly whiten the teeth. It hurts because once it gets into the dentin, it will eventually make its way into the pulp, which has your nerves. And it's very apparent that peroxide is caustic or harmful to the nerves because it hurts when you do it. So peroxide also harms the good bacteria inside your mouth. So, and it's not very good for your gum tissue, especially in higher concentrations. It can wear away at your gum tissue. So if you already have receding gums and you're using hydrogen peroxide in your toothpaste and in a whitening, gel or, the teeth strips, you're not doing any benefit to your gum tissue. You could be wearing them down. Anyone that has mercury fillings in their mouth, that, they say that people over, I think the age of 40, a lot of people over the age of 40 still have at least 1 or 2 mercury fillings in their mouth. Hydrogen peroxide vaporizes mercury. So you can actually Google the vaporizing tooth or search for it on YouTube, and it shows peroxide on a mercury filling and what it does, and it vaporizes it, and then you inhale it, and then you end up with heavy metal toxicity that way. So anyone that has mercury fillings should avoid peroxide anyway. So the gel that I created has an olive oil base. Olive oil is soothing to the gum tissue. It's detoxifying, and it helps to whiten the teeth. It has 2 different clays in it. I didn't get into what is beneficial for tooth powder or toothpaste, so I'll get into that after this. But clay is very beneficial. It's one of the main ingredients in my tooth powder and my paste, primarily because it has a couple properties that are really good for the mouth. First of all, it kills bacteria. Like bacteria, nothing grows in clay. So the bad bacteria can't grow in clay. It kind of wipes out the bad bacteria without damaging your good bacteria, because it's more alkaline by nature. So the good bacteria actually like clay, but the bad bacteria can't stand it. So it's antibacterial, but it's also detoxifying. It's going to pull out toxins from your gum tissue and your teeth, and going to make your teeth and your gum tissue healthier. But clay is also mineral rich, which means that if you've lost minerals from your teeth, if your teeth are sensitive or if they're dingy looking, if you rebuild the enamel by laying down the foundation, which is those minerals that you've lost, if you put those minerals back in your teeth, you will have stronger, whiter teeth, because your enamel is whiter than anything, is whiter than your bone, it's whiter than your dentin. So you want to have a thick enamel. That's the only way to have whiter teeth. Peroxide's not the answer, because it actually makes your teeth weaker in the long run. So I wanted to create something that was actually going to be beneficial for your bacteria, beneficial for your gum tissue, and also rebuild your enamel. So it has 2 different clays in it. That's what the benefit of the clay will do. And then it has essential oils in it as well. And the essential oils are antimicrobial, antibacterial, but also increase blood flow, reduce inflammation, and then they also do help whiten the teeth. Pretty soon, we're coming out with a formula that is also going to include hydroxyapatite in both my tooth powders, my paste, and my whitening formula. It will replace the current formula. So if someone's purchasing right now, you'll get the regular formula, but when this is available, that's what you'll be getting, because we're not going to have a choice of with or without, because hydroxyapatite is really great for the teeth. It's part of what makes the enamel super strong. So we're adding that in our next batch, which is being made right now, and will probably be available, if not by the end of this year, it'll be available at the beginning of next year.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you're constantly innovating in your space. I think that's really important. And I've always been, even like before I became as healthy as I am now, I've always been suspect of whitening strips and this whole idea of just put this thing on for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and suddenly your teeth are going to be whiter, and do it every day. And like the whole premise behind it. And it's scary. It's scary how popular it was at a time. And that's why I just like naturally gravitated towards your product. Was like, I would love whiter teeth, but I'm not about to use those whitening strips and damage my enamel, exactly like you said. So I think it's very cool that you came out with such a holistic product that uses a gel, but also uses light in order to help your teeth be whiter and healthier. And that's where really yeah, that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, and it's a 15-minute treatment. So it doesn't take long. You can do it at home. You can do it when you're commuting, driving your car, and it's super easy. It's 15 minutes a day. The initial treatment is 5 times a week for a month. And then after the 4 months, or 4 weeks, I usually tell people, just do it two is a good number, 2 to 3 times a week. And I say it's for life because it's really not just whitening your teeth. It's actually keeping your enamel strong and keeping your gum tissue healthy. So it's really a therapy that you want to fit into your daily schedule. So I, tell people, do it when you're watching TV, do it when you're answering emails, driving your car, making your dinner. Just fit it into something that you're already doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually do mine when I'm in the bath.
Oh, yeah. That's a good time too.
Yeah. Because I'm just sitting there and it's like relaxing and it's at nighttime. So I just use the red light as well. So it's not like bright in my face like the blue one. And it's so easy. And again, like just make it a habit and stack your habits together. And then you kind of stick to it every day or more frequently. And we are going to get an affiliate code and a discount code for everybody who's listening so that if you want to try it and you're interested in whitening your teeth, you can definitely check it out. And that will be in the show notes and linked on my website.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, make sure that you use the link that Brittany's offering you, because if you do, you will save over 60%. On the website, I can't offer that deal. So you have to click through the link that she's giving you in order to get the 60% off price. It's a really good deal.
Yeah, amazing. So where can people find you if they want to connect with you and check out your products?
They can find me at primallifeorganics.com is the website. And then we are on Instagram at Primal Life Org. We're on all the channels. Primal Life Organics is Facebook and obviously YouTube. I don't want to leave everyone hanging. I do want to tell you guys what to look for really quick in dental products, if that's okay. So in your dental products, in the way I formulated mine for Primal Life Organics, the 3 things that you want your toothpaste or tooth powder to do is you want them to, first of all, alkaline your mouth. If your products aren't alkaline, then it's not going to bust through plaque. It's not going to support your good bacteria, and it's not going to kill the bad stuff. So most alkaline products, the best indication that something is alkaline is that there's baking soda in the formula or in the recipe, the ingredient list. So look for baking soda. That will indicate that it's alkaline. Secondly, you want to make sure it has minerals in it. Most toothpaste, including a lot of natural toothpaste, only have cleaners. They don't have any minerals in them. If they don't have any minerals in them, they're not going to strengthen your teeth, which means your teeth are going to get weak. They're going to lose minerals. They're going to become sensitive. You could end up with a cavity. So you want to make sure there's minerals. The best way to see if there's minerals or no is I like clay. Clay is all inclusive. It has not just calcium and phosphorus. It has also silica, manganese, magnesium, all the other minerals that are found in your teeth. The thing with your teeth is that it's a lock and key mechanism. If you lose a calcium, you can't replace it with manganese. It has to be calcium. If you lose a manganese, you can't replace it with phosphorus. It has to be a manganese. And the problem with most dental products is they put calcium phosphate in there and they don't have anything else. And so you still have these holes in your teeth that can't get filled because they don't have the right minerals, but clay does. So I use a blend of 3 different clays because the blend is inclusive of all the minerals that your teeth have and more. The French green, I use white kaolin, bentonite, and French green clay. And French green clay has nutrients from algae and other plants because it's from the French Sea that are helpful for your gum tissue. Not only that, it's analgesic and anti-inflammatory by nature. And as a nurse, I know that if I can reduce inflammation and I can reduce pain, I can speed healing very, very quickly. And the same thing for your mouth and your gums. If I can reduce inflammation and reduce pain inside your mouth using the red light, the blue light, and a healthy toothpaste that contains clay in it, especially French green clay, then it can heal so much quicker than someone, a mouth that's not using that. So you want to make sure it's alkaline. You want to make sure it has minerals, at least clay is a very good indication. And then you also want to make sure that it's going to cleanse your tissues or detox the tissues of your mouth, because your mouth is exposed to a lot of things, including heavy metals. And those types of toxins can get caught in your gum tissue and then work their way into your system. And The benefit of using clay is that it is very detoxing. Clay and charcoal are very detoxing for the mouth. So it's going to help as you're brushing with something that has clay in it. It's going to help pull those toxins out from your gum tissue, and your gums will then be healthier. So what I did was created my dirty mouth tooth powder off of that formula. And that, again, is the stuff that I read, from the research of Dr. Weston A. Price. And I did put together that kit, and Brittany will have a link for that as well, for a good price for the dental detox kit. If you're someone that says, I'm all in, I want to start with the whole kit. The whole kit is like a tool kit. You get to be your own dental hygienist at home. And you get your tongue scraper, you get activated charcoal bamboo toothbrush, you get a morning and a nighttime tooth powder, you get the gum serum, and then you get the tongue scraper, floss, and you also get a detoxing deodorant, because I wanted to give you a sample of the deodorant, mainly because I know that most people have dabbled with natural deodorants and can't find something that they love. And my formula is real. I really put a lot of love and care into my products. I actually say it's how I do my nursing now. I put my nursing care into every product that I make, and my deodorant far and above exceeds what deodorant should do. It actually detoxes your pit tissues and helps you drain your lymphatics as you rub the deodorant into your pit tissue. So that is what's included in the kit. And it's a 60-day supply. And if you click the link that Brittany has, you'll get that at a discounted price as well.
I love that. I use your tooth powder and a couple of your other dental products. And I think that's awesome that you have a kit so people can just kind of get started very easily, have everything that they need, and even include deodorant, which is obviously a big issue as well in terms of ingredients and not being very clean. And yeah, there's so many on the market now, but it's the same thing of like, what do you look for and who can you trust? And I think that's really awesome. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you for coming on and taking the time. I learned a lot, and I know my audience did too. And I can't wait for them to connect with you.
Thanks, Brittany. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. If you're interested in finding the show notes or the sponsors for this episode, you can do so on my website, which is biohackingbrittany.com. Remember to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active. My handle is @biohackingbrittany. And if you're interested in working together and you want to email me directly, you can do that. My email is info@biohackingbrittany.com. And I look forward to hearing from you and having you tune in next week.